Hello, everyone, and welcome to the KCP podcast, where we highlight conversations centered around helping students move forward confidently in their academic journeys. My name is Peyton. I am an architecture student at the University of Detroit Mercy. Today is a special day because I am learning alongside all the rest of the students listening. Today I am joined by Virginia Stennard, an Associate Professor of Architecture and Community Development at the University of Detroit Mercy and Principal at City Form Detroit. She holds both a Master of Urban Design and Master of Architecture from the University of Michigan, along with a Bachelor's of Architecture Science from University of Virginia. Thank you so much for being with me today. To start, I would love to get to know you beyond your professional titles.
Well, thanks, Peyton, for inviting me, and it's really nice to talk to you and get to meet you, and thank you for the opportunity. So, outside of architecture and teaching, I would say travel inspires me, and we were just talking about this as we were talking about the value of study abroad and travel. I love to travel. I love cities. It recharges me, whether it's just a weekend trip in Michigan or something more extravagant. Like I said, I had the opportunity to teach in Volterra last summer with our program and got to travel a lot along with that. It just, seeing different cultures, seeing the way architecture is translated in different ways, public spaces, it really recharges me. And it's fun too because I have kids and they're starting to now appreciate travel as well. So it's something that we can do together. And so it sounds like you have some similar interests in that way.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
I do. What environments or places tend to inspire you the most creatively?
Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record.
Travel?
Cities.
Okay,
Cities.
yes.
I love cities. I love the energy. I love that you can live in a city or have visited a city many times before, and it's always different, right? Because of the people who were there at the time, the local culture. I've lived in Detroit for 20 years, and I go downtown frequently, but it's always a little bit different. There's always that sense of inspiration or surprise that's still out there to discover. And so that's what inspires me, particularly, public spaces where people gather, whether it's plazas or museums or where you can really kind of watch how people are using the spaces. So I'd say cities.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about Detroit. There's so much to observe.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, and the seasons make a big difference, right? Like cities change per season. Different events. So I get a lot of inspiration from that. Yeah,
that's cool. Since KCP highlights mentorship, I love to learn about your personal journey into architecture and urban design. What first drew you towards architecture and urban design?
Yeah. So I may be different than, some professors or some of your peers. As a child, I never really said, when I grow up, I want to be an architect. However, in thinking back, the built environment was really always important to me as I matured and grew. I lived in a historic home. I lived in a walkable downtown, in a walkable neighborhood. Art and creativity surrounded me. When I was bored, I would just make things, and my mom was an interior designer, and so I was kind of surrounded by art and creativity. What else? I'm trying to put the pieces together. I also learned at a young age that my autonomy was really reliant on the walkability of my environment. And, I didn't have to rely on my parents to drive me places in the environment that I lived. And so I had a lot of freedom and autonomy to move around my downtown. I grew up in College Town in Alabama. So I think that made a big impression on me. And what else? Putting the pieces together. In high school, I became kind of an environmental activist, and the notion of stewardship and sustainability of our environment started to become really important to me. And so, not only thinking about buildings, but thinking about the larger environment in which we lived. And then I remember going to tour my undergrad, University of Virginia, and still not really knowing that I was going to apply to architecture school. And I saw the students making models, and I saw their very project-based work. And I remember very explicitly thinking, that is cool, and I can do that, and I want to do that. And so, that was kind of the turning point where I had to commit to something, and so I applied to architecture school, and the rest is history. So I think it was just a collection of experiences over the years, and this kind of commitment and observation of the built environment that kind of rubbed off on me. What about you? Can I ask you some questions? How did you get into architecture?
I've wanted to do it for a long time. Not everyone's case, of course, but I've wanted to do architecture probably since 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I was kind of looking at colleges based on that.
Yeah.
I've just always been inspired by the thinking process that architecture school takes.
Right.
Kind of abstract, very project-based.
Yeah.
All those sorts of spatial thinking ideas.
Sure.
It's the actual thought process. The major itself, of course, too, but the thought process is what got me into it.
That's great.
That's how my brain works.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. You're in the right place then. Yeah. Great.
Were there any professors that kind of guided you towards sustainability, main things that you were working towards, or did you kind of get there by yourself, you think?
Well, I'd say it's both. When this kind of goes to maybe a future conversation that we may have, but when I was an undergrad, I didn't yet know the full holistic world of the architecture field, and it so happened that the school that I went to, it had 4 programs in one building. It had landscape architecture, urban planning, architectural history, and architecture. So I was exposed now, to urban planning courses and landscape and, these aspects. I just thought architecture was buildings, but it's so much more. Mm-hmm. So I think some of that inherently rubbed off on me. And then, yes, of course, I had certain professors along the way that in undergrad, it was our dean was a leader in sustainability and a global leader. And that really trickled down to all of our coursework. And then I ended up getting a minor in urban planning. And then, of course, in grad school, I had some professors that I really had synergy with. So it's really important, I think, to find those professors who you align with and have synergy with and make relationships, try to work with them, get as much out of them as you can, right? Because that's what they're there for. And I think I took advantage of that opportunity, undergrad and grad school, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really, you have so much, wisdom, knowledge at your disposal, to, get further, understand what you want. It's a really great thing.
Yeah, and I still keep in touch with many of those professors, those relationships, and because, the relationship starts as professor-student, but then you become peers and colleagues and collaborators as you continue in your career, and it's great to keep that up.
Yeah, very cool. So next question, you balance teaching with professional practice through City Form Detroit. How do these roles influence each other?
Yeah, so City Form is my urban design practice. Well, my husband and I have a practice together, small research-based urban design practice. The two very much influence each other. I lean on my practice as part of my research. So, I'm actively working with communities and clients. They're teaching me, and then in turn, I can take those lessons back to the students. And it keeps me current as well. It's like I'm working in real time on real projects and understanding community concerns in 2026. And so being on the ground, I think, is really helpful. And just being in tune with local politics, economics, community issues, especially teaching thesis students, but all students, I just like to point them to things going on right now so that they're aware and they're not working in a bubble. There's so many issues both in Detroit and nationally and globally. But then I also am able to bring my work back into the classroom. I use it as case studies and examples a lot.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. And then, from time to time, too, I'm able to engage students in my practice, maybe a volunteer opportunity or a shadowing or things like that. So, in my case, it's very much intertwined and interwoven, my teaching and research and practice. I'm more of a practitioner, I would say, than, a deep researcher. But so they're very much entwined. Yeah.
Yeah. Mentorship plays a huge role in helping students develop confidence and direction. What do architecture students commonly misunderstand about the profession early in their education?
Yeah, good question, Peyton. I think one thing that's misunderstood is that there's only one path, that architecture is just about buildings, which of course it is. That's what our expertise is in. But the field is much broader and it has a lot of adjacencies. So it's also about landscape. It's about real estate development. It's about theory and history. It's about urban design. It's about graphic design. The field is potentially broader than maybe students realize when they first enter. And you can create your own path within that. I think that's something that I figured out from undergrad and grad school, that you can navigate, you can find those professors that you have synergy with. You can take courses that are really to your interest, and you can weave your own path. Yeah. And that's certainly what I did, especially by the time I got to grad school. But it took me a minute to understand that and get that the field is broad and you can navigate it in different ways. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I look at so many of my peers that I graduated with and such a variety of different things that we're all doing, but still related to the built environment or design thinking, that sort of thing. And I think that's another great thing about architectural education, because it gives you a great foundation in liberal arts, but it also gives you expertise in spatial planning. And so no matter what, I think architecture education is like a really good education. Even if you after 4 years you decide to go to med school, it's just a really strong foundation of problem solving, critical thinking, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I kept coming back to it, because I took other classes for other majors, just to check things out.
Yeah.
Just in case it didn't work out, whatever. I realized that so much of it just kept on connecting back to architecture. And it's such a unique major that's really it can be like very fulfilling to like be able to learn all of these things and connect it back to architecture.
It's so true. I mean, poetry, you can relate it, philosophy. It's a great liberal arts education.
Yes. Yeah. It really is.
Good.
Yes. Next question. Studio culture can be overwhelming. What advice would you give to students?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if my response is that creative, but I would just say take breaks, recharge, take a walk, hang out with your friends, both architecture friends and non-architecture friends. Yeah. I also think it's just important to do other things besides architecture every now and then, right? Like go see a play, go do something else. I think it helps. I used to always think, I don't have time to do all that stuff, right? And I don't have time to go downstairs in the School of Architecture and go to that lecture. Yeah. But when you do, like 9 times out of 10, I would find that whatever I was doing would inspire me or connect me back to my studio project or back to architecture. Like just stepping outside of your mind for an hour and going to a play or going to see that guest lecture downstairs. It helps you make connections that you maybe were not expecting.
Yes.
So I know that's easier said than done because, architecture takes a lot of time. But you got to take breaks and you got to exercise and see your friends, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps your morale up. Like, it's as much as studio can be like, a place for inspiration, it's long-term finding your own, maybe not style, but way of doing architecture. Yeah. The part of architecture that you do want to be in your career. Yep. You have to be able to have, something else that you can grab from it and take back.
Of course, definitely. So. And it's a process. I mean, when you're in school, I mean, you're learning the tools. Like, it's taking even extra long to, like, learn the software and learn the tools. And I think at a certain point, you get a little bit more efficient and you kind of work smarter instead of just harder. Yes. But it takes time. But you just kind of have to trust the process. Yes. But take those breaks,
Yes. I totally agree.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, if I have a lot of deadlines coming up, I'll set a timer for 25 minutes because that seems to be the sweet spot for me. Good. And then I'll stop, like, go for a walk or, just, like, do something fun. Yeah. Like, something else.
That's great that you know yourself in that way. And, your attention span for XYZ is 25 minutes. And that's really smart. See, you're already practicing good habits. That's really good.
Thank you. How can students begin to develop their own design voice while still learning the fundamentals?
I think you need to seek opportunities outside of the classroom, whether it's co-ops, volunteer opportunities, opportunities with NOMA, AIS, your community. I think working on kind of real projects with real people helps you develop your own voice. It helps you understand the needs of someone else and then understand how you might translate that through your education and expertise. So I don't know, I think those summer jobs, those co-ops, those volunteer opportunities, it's going to help you determine what you're passionate about. It's also going to help you determine what you don't like to do, which is equally important. Yeah. I mean, I'd say many of my jobs help more me determine what I didn't want to do and what where my voice wanted to be. So it's kind of like trying multiple things, working with real people, real projects. That's my perspective in terms of formulating your own voice. Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to do a co-op or work in a office yet?
Not quite.
Yeah.
I've definitely before I came here to Detroit Mercy, I was interviewing a lot of architects, like getting their perspective of things, just because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. And they kind of recommended, excuse me, that I do the same thing, like kind of figure out from co-ops or try as much different things that I could from internships. I'm not quite to that point yet to start doing that, but I am very excited to start trying stuff. And like get that voice.
Great. And again, it takes time, but it starts to make sense at some point.
Yes, it's a process, and you have to be in it. What skills do you wish students focus on more before entering the workforce specifically?
Right. And we focus a lot on this at the thesis level too, so it's on my mind a lot. Critical thinking is key. Students really need to be able to take a position and sort through a lot of information and have a stance and take a position. So critical thinking, writing and communication is always going to be really important, even for architects who their language is drawing many times. Problem solving, leadership, I think is really important. Students that are able to take the initiative or play a leadership role. I think in my perspective is, and also as an employer sometimes when we have staff, I can teach, the software can be learned, those skills, in my opinion, are easier to learn. But the ones that are harder to learn are critical thinking, leadership, writing and communication. And it's those traits that I think prevail and are important for so many fields, but also for architecture. And, I think I just want students to be good thinkers. I also want them to be kind of have an appreciation for learning and lifelong learning, right? And be curious. And that goes a long way. Just having that curiosity, being interested in learning new things. So those are things that I think are important that also hopefully are going to help us withstand the onset of AI and all of these technologies. I think those are really important.
So what would you say is the number one? Is that critical thinking? Is that confidence? What is it?
I say critical thinking. That's probably my number one. And there are other things that I didn't mention. I mean, I think having empathy and humility are really important. Being able to listen to each other, to clients, and kind of digest that and have empathy. I think that's really important. I mean, other things, being able to work collaboratively is important. Work with people. And I also think this maybe goes back to my education. I think just having an interdisciplinary mindset where you are factoring in multiple considerations, whether it's having to do with economics or the environment or social issues. Those are all part of architecture. And those are skills we try to teach in school in various ways, and it's really going to translate into your profession. So I don't care if you know XYZ software at this point. We could teach you that.
Yeah.
But it's those other soft skills that I think are really important. So that was a lot of them. Critical thinking, interdisciplinary thinking, collaboration, empathy, problem solving, all of those sorts of things. Leadership.
Yeah. Let's see. This one's pretty similar. From your perspective, what makes a strong mentor and mentee relationship?
Yeah, good. Well, I think communication, you have to be in communication to build that relationship. And the mentee, it's always appreciated when they take initiative, right? When they want to engage the mentor. And I sometimes see that doesn't happen, but the mentor can take initiative too. But I think success is always about communication, setting up times to meet, whether it's just a check-in, whether it's something more involved, whether it's spending more time, spending just a coffee or a check-in via email. I mean, it's like any relationship, you have to work at it to maintain it. And everyone's busy, and we get that. But I think that kind of regular communication is key. And we don't always do that. It's hard to do, but that would be my recommendation.
Do you think that there is anything that students can do to try to ask better questions?
Well, I don't know, maybe...
Or to be more engaged?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe students, they're very busy, and maybe sometimes they don't realize the value that they bring or that their mentor would bring. I mean, and mentors, for the most part, I mean, they want to engage. They want to share their knowledge. And, maybe sometimes students think, oh, I don't want to bother that person, or they won't have time. But, there's no harm in trying and reaching out. And even things like, showing progress work to your mentor. Like, sometimes you think, oh, everything has to be done. It has to be just right. But, it doesn't. Just having a conversation about something that's on your mind or in progress. And at first it's intimidating maybe, but then once you establish that communication and relationship, hopefully it gets easier. Our thesis students are required to have what we call external advisors. That means someone typically not on faculty, not in the school, that advises them on their thesis. It's sort of a mentor. It's an advisor. And I find, for the most part, the students underutilize their advisors. They don't call on them enough. They don't take as full advantage of them as they could. They kind of miss that opportunity. So, you have to carve out space and time for it. It's one of those things you could easily be like, oh, I don't have enough time. But just like other things we've talked about, if you take that break, if you go to that play, if you go to that thing, if you take time to engage with a mentor, it's most likely going to be beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, like make time for other stuff, because it's crucial.
It's crucial. I know. We're talking about making all this time, but time is limited. But yeah. Well, it must be important to you too. I mean,
yes.
Us having this conversation, it seems like something that's on your radar.
Yes.
On your horizon. That's good.
It definitely is. How can students confidently approach professors or professionals for mentorship opportunities?
Just do it. Just approach them.
Just go for it.
I don't think there's a magic answer. Just do it. call them on the phone.
Yeah.
Send them a well-written email. Go knock on their door.
Yeah.
Strike up a casual conversation.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Just work up the confidence.
Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have nothing to lose, to be
Yes.
honest.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would guarantee almost everyone wants to serve in that position. Maybe it's true. Maybe at that particular point in their life, they're not able to. But just do it. Just approach them. There's no magic answer.
Yeah. I feel like most educators, they really, that's why they're in this. They want to help you. They want to give you knowledge. That's
definitely
why they're there. They're not, most of them aren't going to be stingy about it. That's.
Oh, entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Peyton too, most people like to talk about themselves. And so if you are seeking advice and mentorship from someone, most likely they're going to reciprocate and will enjoy that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. So our next section, your work connects architecture with community development, which shows how mentorship and design can both create a meaningful impact. How important is community awareness in architecture education today?
Well, I think it's very important. Like I said, I come from an appreciation of an interdisciplinary mindset. I think it's important to stay current with what community's needs are, what's going on in our local context, whether it's politically, economically, socially. I think having a pulse on, who we're designing for is super important. So, I'm constantly pointing my students to local news, local articles, making them aware that what we're doing in school is not just in a bubble, but it has ramifications for our local communities. So, and I think it's, essential.
Yeah.
So, and we get that a lot. I think the School of Architecture, for the most part, believes that too, and we infuse that in many different ways, that kind of community awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, ever since I came here, I'm realizing that's a number one thing. That's very emphasized here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that architecture more and more has gone in that direction. I think it's evolved. It's not just, designing form in a bubble, but it's really being in tune with who you're designing for and the local context and local communities. Yeah.
Being for the people, really, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like that's the biggest way you can make an impact, is doing it, for the people.
Yeah.
Of that area.
Yeah. Our profession is a service profession, to provide a service to a client. And it's our responsibility to really hear the needs of that client and then kind of mix that with our technical and professional expertise. So I don't see any other way to do it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing that that's what we're talking about more now.
Yeah.
It's really one of the terms that you were using. It's you need empathy, to be empathetic. It's great.
Yeah, and it's it all kind of informs one another. To develop that empathy, you have to work at relationships. You have to work at your listening skills. It's all just interwoven together.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. What advice would you give to any kind of student, even outside of architecture? Maybe just from your own experiences, other things that you've heard. What do you think?
What advice? Keep going. It's hard. It's hard work. Trust the process and keep going. we've already talked about this, but I think architecture provides a tremendous foundational education. And even if you decide not to pursue it as a career, you're going to get a great education out of it. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difficult field, but it's very rewarding. And I think just taking it step by step and bit by bit and keeping going. I mean, I'm so glad I kept with it. There were a lot of challenges along the way, for sure. And it would have been maybe easier to take a different direction. But I'm so glad I did it because it's a really rewarding field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think is something that, or maybe you had your own thing that like you could hold on to that kind of kept you going in architecture school? Like what is something that you keep on saying, trust the process, which makes sense to me, but sort of elaborating on that, like how do you trust the process? Do you listen to resources like this sort of thing? You like look for like other people to reach out to?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the other people to reach out to and the mentorships, and I mean I really did have, especially in grad school, some strong relationships with some professors and who I really looked up to, and who in some ways some of them I thought, I kind of want to do what you're doing one day. How do I get there? I think the work that you're doing is really interesting. It's having an impact. Can you help me understand how you got there? What the path was? So, I mean, I was inspired by, some role models, I would say, and some professors. I think it may have to come from within too. Everyone has different things that makes them tick.
Yeah,
and,
true.
I was not one that wanted to give up, and I like to finish what I started.
Yeah.
And so I think some of it's just how you're wired.
Yeah.
But I did take a lot of inspiration and from some people I looked up to, and I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it, or I want to do what they're doing. How do I get there? And so I think that kept me going. Yeah. And too, like it was challenging, but it was fun. Yeah. I mean, all the people that I thought were interesting were in architecture. Yeah. And those were the people I wanted to be around. Yeah. And all my friends were there, and just, we all were interested in similar things. It became a community. And even when you're not in school, it's still a community of people. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question. But.
No, it does. It really, it can be a personal thing. But yeah, I think it's really important for a person, like before they were to move on from architecture one way or the other, to really like dig inside themselves first. Like think about how they are really wired. Like really like use your critical thinking in that sense. And just like go deeper before.
And it's true. It's not for everyone, but
that's true.
I think hopefully between your friends and your professors and yourself, we can like help our students figure that out if they're on the right path.
Yes. So our last section is a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you a handful of questions, and you're just going to answer them point blank.
Okay, first thing that comes to mind.
Yes, okay. Like that. Okay, so rapid fire. Favorite city for design inspiration?
Copenhagen.
Okay.
I studied abroad there. They have great architecture, contemporary. They also have great public spaces, and they have some great firms there right now. SHL, Kobe, Big. Some of these have lectured at our school, by the way. Anyway, I love Scandinavia, all things Scandinavian, and I do like Copenhagen. Yeah.
One book every architecture student should read.
It was maybe cheating. I'd say the series. I'd say all of Francis Ching's books, who wrote a book on building construction illustrated, architectural graphics. I think there's a book called Space, Form, and Order. Ching breaks all the concepts down and beautifully sketches and draws them in a book, and in a way that's very digestible. I still use my Ching books, but as a student, if you want to see how a wall is framed, if you want to quickly understand, grading and site design, these books cover it all in a beautifully illustrated way. So Francis Ching is the author and good resource for students, professionals. Yeah.
Yeah. A design trend you love right now?
Adaptive reuse. I don't know if that's a trend, but yeah, I think I'm so tired of cities tearing down buildings that need to be saved. I know there's a cost that goes with that, but we should be adaptively reusing and preserving these. And, we're doing it. We're not always doing it well in Detroit, but we've also got some success stories. Have you been to Michigan Central yet?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's so beautiful.
It's beautiful, and there are lots of examples. So I would say adaptive reuse. Let's keep that going. Yeah.
Like historical preservation, kind of?
Yeah. Or even, we have so much building stock out there, so many resources that have already been embedded in our built environment. So sometimes, we don't always have to build new. We need to be kind of recycling and adapting what we already have.
Yeah.
So it's just a smart, responsible thing to do.
A design trend you hope fades out, the other side.
This sounds hokey maybe, but I can't stand tinted windows in retail storefronts. When the windows are so tinted, they're almost black and you can't see inside. It drives me crazy. And I'm always complaining to whoever I'm walking with downtown or somewhere. Why are the windows so tinted? You can't see the merchandise inside. Anyway, I know there's a thermal component to that, but I can't stand tinted storefront windows. That's probably not something most people think about.
No, that's an honest answer. I like that.
It drives me crazy. It's a pet peeve. Yeah.
Okay, one word that describes great design.
Beautiful.
Beautiful?
And functional, but beautiful.
Okay, beautiful. We'll take that. So, since mentorship is a major focus of KCP, if students listening could take away one lesson about mentorship, growth, and building confidence in their journey, what would you want them to remember?
Okay, I'll say a couple things, even though I'm supposed to say one. Trust the process. It's a journey. Let it unfold. But then on another level, I used to have this professor. He didn't say much, but he would just walk around studio and he would just say, "Do good work." He was like, "That's all you need to know." He would just say, "Do good work." And I feel like that kind of sums it up. And I think of that often. I'm just like, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of excuses, but in the end, you just want to do good work. Yeah. And I remember he would say that, and it still resonates with me. So
Yeah.
I tell my students that sometimes too.
That's so great that like so many years later, like that experience stuck with you no matter how small it felt, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, how basic, you know, just do good work. and that can be translated in many ways, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at the end here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and insight today. Conversations like this help students understand how mentorship can truly support both personal and professional growth. And thank you to everyone listening to the KCP podcast. We hope this conversation encourages you to seek mentorship, build meaningful connections, and continue to move forward in your own journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton.